Finally, I will show to you how to provide a drag and drop interface using HTML5. Again, this will make use of the DOM API. I will just do a simple demonstration since complicated ones will entail a lot of code and time. For presentational purposes, I have already defined here some CSS styling. Is for making the elements that we're going to move visible. In creating a drag and drop interface, we need to define the draggable elements and their possible drop-off points. In this example, we're going to create 3 draggable small boxes and 1 large drop box. I'm going to use the div element to represent the small boxes. Then I'll set their draggable attributes as true. This alone will not allow them to be dragged yet. We still need to use JavaScript for this purpose. Then I'll represent the drop box through div also. Since based from my experiments and others as well, Firefox has the best drag and drop support. So we'll open our document using this browser. For now, they are still static boxes. Now let's add some scripts. To allow drag and drops, we need to assign responses to the events related to them. We can do this through the attributes onDragStart, onDrop, onDragEnter, and onDragOver. We can assign functions or scripts to these attributes. In this example, our main concern is the onDragStart, which we assign the drag function, and onDrop, which will assign the drop function. The event parameter is the captured event. So we'll just return false to the onDragEnter and the onDragOver attributes. Now let's add the scripts. So let's define the drag function. For good measure, as recommended by HTML5 specs, let's check first if the object being dragged is not a text selection. If it passes validation, we pass the drag object to the data transfer object using the setData method. The first parameter describes the type of object being dragged. For reasons that I am not yet aware of, this is usually set as text, even for container elements. If it fails validation, then we can prevent the selection from being dragged using the prevent default method. Then we'll define the drop function. Here, we extract the ID of the drag object, pass to the data transfer object, so we can make it a child of the receiving object using the appendChild method. Once the drop action is completed, we need to call the prevent default method to stop further responses. So let's try this. As in here, the 3 boxes can now be moved to the larger box. We cannot reverse the process though, because the previous gestures were the only ones that we defined. You can also try this using Safari, though there's a minor issue. We need to drag the objects twice before being able to move it. We can fix this by tweaking our CSS. We'll set the WebKit user drag property of the 3 small boxes as element. I think this is a feature of CSS3, which is supported by most browsers with HTML5 support. Let's do this again. Now it only takes a single drag action to move these objects. Okay, so that's my last demo for HTML5. There are a lot more new features that we could explore, but they are way too many to be covered in a 45-minute report. What I've shown here are those that I think are generally useful to most web developers. Documentations are available online, so you can reference them if you want to try other features as well. So you've seen how to use some of HTML5's new features. I mentioned earlier that it is projected to become a recommendation in 2022, but the authors are confident that this will gain wide support a lot earlier than that date. After all, some of the people who are involved in this project are from the browser vendors themselves, and you've seen here that some of these features are already functioning right now, even if it's not at a standard. Even well-known web apps are using it. So an example of this is Google Wave. So I suggest that you try it yourself too.